The storm over Karuin 9 never stopped. It was not a storm of rain, but of light, green lightning that cracked through the black sky like the world itself was angry. Beneath it, a camp of humans crouched under metal shelters, their machines humming against the alien night. Captain Eric Voss stood alone on the ridge, watching the horizon. His armor was scorched, his beard dusted with silver. A long scar cut across his jaw, old and pale, a reminder of a war most people preferred to forget. He had fought in places no one remembered, and seen stars die in silence. But tonight, he felt something different, something alive. His hand rested on the pulse rifle at his side, though he didn't reach for it yet. Instead, he whispered into his comm, "This is Voss. Movement detected on the east ridge. Small, fast." "Not human." Static crackled. Then a voice replied, sharp, young, nervous. "Sir, the Teatrine scout said that area's off limits. Sacred ground." Voss frowned. "Everything's sacred until we bleed on it." He switched off the comm and began walking down the slope, boots crunching on the wet ground. The air smelled of copper and ozone. In the distance, the jungle pulsed with light. Plants glowing faintly blue, bending in the wind. The sound of chirping creatures echoed through the dark, like a song half remembered. Then he heard it, a cry, soft, afraid. It wasn't human, but it wasn't alien enough to ignore. Voss froze, scanning the undergrowth. He crouched low, eyes narrowing. The cry came again, closer this time. A shape stumbled from the bushes, small, trembling, covered in fine black fur and glowing spots across its back. A Teatrine cub. Its eyes were huge, yellow and glassy with fear. It looked at Voss, then stumbled forward, collapsing at his feet. Voss lowered his weapon slowly. "Easy, kid," the cub whimpered. Its chest was bleeding, a thin plasma burn, still smoking. Someone had shot it. He knelt, scanning the wound with his wrist display. The results blinked in pale blue holographs. Life signs weak, toxin present, urgent care needed. Before he could act, shadows moved at the edge of the clearing. 3 tall figures stepped out of the jungle, adult Teatrine warriors, armored in bone and metal. Their claws gleamed. Their eyes glowed faintly green. The leader hissed through fanged jaws, "Human, step away from the cub." Voss didn't move. "It's injured." "It is not your concern," the alien growled. "You will leave. Now." Voss lifted his chin. "And let it die?" The warrior's spines flared in anger. "You do not understand. Contact between your kind and the young is forbidden. You bring chaos. Corruption." Voss stared back, unblinking. "Then maybe your laws need breaking." For a moment no one moved. The air crackled with tension. The lightning above painted their faces in green light. Human steel against alien fury. Then the cub did something that silenced everyone. It reached out. Tiny claws pressed against Voss's armor. It made a soft sound, almost like the word help. The Teatrine leader took a step back, visibly shaken. "It speaks to you?" Voss looked down. The cub's pupils glowed faintly. "Seems like it." A deep rumble rolled through the ground. The jungle fell silent. The warriors turned toward the dark valley below, their eyes wide with sudden fear. One whispered, "The brood mother wakes." Voss's hand went to his rifle. "Who's the brood mother?" The leader didn't answer. Instead, he pointed a claw at Voss. "If she finds you with the cub, she will kill you all. Human, Teatrine, it will not matter. Then maybe you should help me save it." Voss said. But the warriors were already retreating, vanishing into the shadows. Only their voices lingered, echoing like ghosts. "Stay away from cubs, human. Stay away, or the jungle will devour you." Voss looked down at the little creature. Its breathing was shallow. He lifted it gently into his arms, ignoring the faint heat of its skin. It blinked up at him, trusting him completely, and something in his chest shifted. He whispered, "You picked the wrong human to trust, kid, but I'll do my best." He ran, through the glowing vines, through the rising mist, through the alien forest that seemed to breathe around him. Behind him, the thunder grew louder, not from the sky, but from something massive moving through the trees. By the time he reached the human perimeter, alarms were blaring. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Hale, met him at the gate, eyes wide. "Sir, what the hell is that?" "Long story," Voss said, pushing through, "Get medics ready." He laid the cub on a medical table. The human medics froze, unsure whether to touch it. Voss barked, "It's bleeding out. Do your job." They moved fast then, scanning and sealing the wound. The cub whimpered once, then went still, breathing soft but steady. Voss let out a slow breath. For a moment, he almost smiled. Then the ground trembled again, harder this time. The lights flickered. A soldier shouted, "Sir, something's coming from the jungle. Big, really big." Outside, the jungle split open. Vines tore apart, and a massive shape rose from the darkness. Scales, fangs, eyes glowing like molten suns. The broodmother had come, and she was looking for her missing cub. The ground shook like the heartbeat of a god. Metal crates rattled across the deck, alarms screamed, and the night outside burned with green lightning. Every human in the camp froze as the jungle itself seemed to move. Captain Eric Voss didn't flinch. He stood at the gate, eyes narrowed against the storm. His armor gleamed faintly in the flashes of light, streaked with mud and alien blood. The cub was safe for now, breathing softly under a thermal blanket, but the air was heavy with something older than fear. Lieutenant Hale ran up beside him, visor glowing red. "Sir, scanners show movement the size of a Corvette. Whatever it is, it's heading straight for us." Voss didn't look away from the tree line. "That'll be the brood mother." "The what?" Hale asked. "The reason the Teatrine told us to stay away." Lightning cracked again, revealing a silhouette, impossibly tall, crawling on 6 limbs, eyes burning through the mist like 2 dying suns. Each step made the earth tremble. The soldiers whispered prayers, curses, and last words under their breath. Voss touched his comm. "All units, defensive perimeter. No one fires unless I give the order." Hale blinked. "Sir, with respect." "I said no one fires." The creature stepped into view. It was made of bone and armor, scales glistening with bioluminescent veins. Its breath hissed like steam. Around it fluttered clouds of tiny creatures, drones or spores, maybe both, each glowing faintly. The jungle bent under its presence, vines curling toward it like worshippers bowing to a god. It stopped 100 meters from a human camp. The soldiers aimed their rifles, hands shaking. Voss stepped forward alone. The brood mother tilted her head. She was studying him. Then a voice, deep resonant, like thunder rolling through water, filled the air. It wasn't sound. It was in his mind. "Human, you carry my blood." Voss's pulse skipped. "I carry your cub," he said quietly. "You were warned." Her voice shook the camp's walls. Antennas snapped, lights flickered. Medics screamed as the cub on the table stirred, whimpering in pain. Its eyes flared gold again. Voss turned back toward the tent. "Hold on, kid." The broodmother growled low. "Return what is mine, and I will leave your kind unbroken." Voss took a slow breath. His hand brushed aside his rifle, not to draw it, but to steady himself. "And if I don't?" The earth cracked open beneath her feet. A shock wave rippled outward, flattening trees. Voss shouted into his comm, "All units, hold position." He ran toward the med bay. The cub was awake now, struggling to move. Its claws scraped against the steel table. Its gaze locked on the massive creature outside. Hale appeared in the doorway. "Sir, she's going to crush us." "She won't," Voss said, voice steady. "She's not here to destroy. She's here to decide." The cub let out a soft chirp, a sound filled with panic and longing. Outside, the broodmother froze, head snapping toward the sound. Her fury dimmed. The cub tried to climb off the table, wobbling toward the light. Voss knelt beside it. "Easy. You're not strong enough yet." The cub looked up at him, blinking slowly. Then, through the static of fear and noise, he heard it, a whisper in his mind, faint and trembling. "Help her understand." His breath caught. He looked out at the broodmother towering in the mist. "Yeah," he muttered. "Guess that's my job." He stepped outside again, unarmed, the rain beginning to fall in sheets of silver. The broodmother lowered her massive head, eyes burning with ancient grief. "You do not belong here," she said. "Maybe not," Voss replied, "but neither does fear. That cub's bleeding because someone decided we couldn't care. You tell me, broodmother, who taught you that?" The silence that followed was worse than the thunder. The creature's gaze softened, just slightly. Her voice, when it returned, was quieter, almost mournful. "We remember when humans walked our skies, when your kind seeded the stars and gave us names. Then you vanished, leaving us to the cold. We learned to survive without you." Voss looked up at her, rain streaming down his face. "And now you're afraid that if we come back, you'll remember what it felt like to hope." The broodmother's claws sank into the soil. The lightning dimmed. Around her, the smaller creatures paused, listening. Then, distant blaster fire shattered the stillness. One of the Th-Reen war parties had returned. Dozens of warriors charged through the forest, weapons glowing bright green. Hale cursed. "They think we stole the cub." Voss turned, fury flashing in his eyes. "Get them to stop." But it was too late. Plasma bolts ripped through the trees. The broodmother roared, a sound that split the sky itself. Her fury returned, and this time it was endless. Voss shouted over the noise, "Cease fire! Cease fire!" No one listened. The broodmother lunged forward. Her tail smashed a turret into molten steel. The jungle exploded into chaos. Fire, screams, and lightning all at once. Voss ran for the med bay, shielding the cub with his body as debris rained down. The air burned. When he looked up, the broodmother's shadow filled the entire sky. Her voice came again, low and trembling with rage. "You've doomed them all human." And for the first time in years, Captain Eric Voss didn't have an answer. The night burned like a forge. Flames clawed at the sky, and the scent of scorched metal filled the air. Captain Eric Voss sprinted through the chaos. The cub clutched tightly in his arms. All around him, the camp was collapsing. Soldiers shouting, turrets sparking, the jungle alive with fire and fear. The broodmother roared again, shaking the ground. Her massive body loomed over the wreckage, but her attacks were wild, not blind rage, but grief. Voss slid behind a fallen transport, breathing hard. His comm was dead. The static hissed like a warning. "Kid," he muttered, glancing down at the cub. "We're running out of miracles." The cub blinked weakly. Golden eyes flickered open. It whispered in that soft, telepathic voice again. "No, T.U., our fault." Voss froze. The voice wasn't words. Exactly, it was memory. He saw flashes in his mind. Giant ships descending from ancient skies, humans and Th-Reen walking side by side, trading knowledge and stories like family. Then fire. Then silence. The connection snapped. The cub went limp again. Voss looked toward the burning medbay where it had been treated. A glowing crystal, the scanner core, was still intact. He grabbed it, slamming it into the side of his wrist module. The data flickered to life, shaky but readable. The readout made his stomach twist. Human genetic code, not random contamination, deliberate insertion. The cub's DNA carried ancient human markers, centuries old. Someone long ago had merged humanity with the Tishreen. He exhaled slowly. We didn't just meet them first, we made them. The broodmother's roar echoed through the canyon. She was searching, hunting, but not for vengeance, for truth. Voss stood, scanning the sky. The calm static cleared for a moment. Voss! Come in. The Tishreen warships are moving. He cut the line. The last thing he needed was another trigger-happy commander starting a genocide. All right, he whispered to the cub. Time to end this the old-fashioned way, with a conversation. He stepped out of the ruins, unarmed, into the burning light. The broodmother's head turned toward him. Her eyes glowed like molten glass. Her breath was a storm of heat. You still live. Barely, Voss said, but I think you deserve to know what's in that cub's blood. He lifted his wrist display, projecting the DNA scans into the air, shimmering strands of blue and gold light. The broodmother's gaze followed the hologram, her pupils narrowing. T. S is human? Partly. The cub carries fragments of our genome, our memories. You were built from us, maybe centuries ago. We called it genetic symbiosis. You called it heresy. The giant creature leaned closer, voice trembling with something that wasn't anger. You lie? Voss didn't flinch. I wish I was. He pointed to the cub in his arms. Look at it. You feel it, don't you? The connection. That's not control. That's kinship. The broodmother's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. Around her, the jungle creatures grew still, listening. Then, from behind Voss, came the sound he dreaded most. Engines. The human gunships had arrived. Their spotlights pierced the smoke, targeting beams sliding over the broodmother's body. Don't. Voss shouted into the comm, do not engage. She's not hostile. No answer. Missiles launched. The sky turned white. Voss threw himself over the cub as the shockwave hit. Heat washing over his back like fire. The broodmother screamed, her tail slamming into the ground with enough force to send shards of earth flying. When the light faded, she was still standing, wounded, burning, but alive. And now, truly enraged. You speak of kinship, she roared, but you bring only death. Voss staggered to his feet, voice hoarse. That wasn't me. The cub in his arms began to glow. Its body pulsed with golden light, brighter and brighter until it hurt to look at. The broodmother froze mid-stride. What is this? Voss looked down. I think it's choosing. The cub lifted its small head, eyes blazing like miniature stars. It opened its mouth, and a sound pure and powerful erupted through the night. Not a scream, a signal. Every machine in the human camp went silent, every weapon powered down. The air shimmered with invisible energy, static crawling across Voss's skin. Then, in the distance, something massive moved beneath the planet's crust. A tremor, deep, ancient, alive. The broodmother stepped back, her expression almost fearful. You have awakened it. Voss frowned. Awaken what? Her eyes glowed brighter. The architects, the ones who made us all. Voss blinked. You mean humans? The broodmother shook her head slowly. No, older than you. The ones your kind tried to become. The cub's light dimmed. It slumped in Voss's arms, exhausted. The broodmother lowered her head to his level. Her voice was quieter now, filled with awe and dread. You were not the first creators, human. You were their echo. Voss met her gaze, heart pounding. Then maybe it's time we both remember where we came from. Above them, the storm shifted. The clouds tore open, revealing something vast and artificial glinting beyond the atmosphere. A colossal structure hidden among the stars, awakening from slumber. And for the first time, Voss understood this wasn't just about one planet or one species. It was about who built the galaxy itself. As the architects awakened, Voss must choose between saving humanity or revealing the truth that could destroy it. The air shimmered with static. The clouds above Karuin, 9 twisted like smoke drawn towards something greater, a silent pull from stars. Captain Eric Voss stood at the edge of the broken camp, his armor cracked and blackened. The broodmother loomed before him, her wound steaming, her eyes locked on the sky. The cub, still glowing faintly, lay in his arms like a living ember of the storm. "Tell me," Voss said, his voice low, "what are the architects?" The broodmother's breath rumbled the ground. "The first makers, the ones who shaped your kind and mine. We were both born from their design. 2 halves of a single purpose, creation and destruction." Voss frowned. "If that's true, why hide it? Why turn on each other?" Her gaze hardened. "Because the architects vanished, and your ancestors tried to replace them." Thunder cracked overhead, but it wasn't thunder, it was machinery. Something vast and ancient was awakening beyond the clouds. The human gunships circled above, pilots shouting over comms Voss couldn't hear. The sky flashed as energy signatures spiked, blinding sensors. Then came the voice. Cold, synthetic, beautiful. "We have returned." Every human system went dark. Weapons fell silent. HUDs flickered and died. Even the broodmother froze, her bioluminescent veins dimming to gray. The cub stirred weakly in Voss's arms, whispering through the link in his mind. "They are not gods, they are code." "Code," Voss whispered. "Old machines, programmed to judge creation. If balance is broken, they reset." Voss looked up. The massive structure in orbit, once hidden, now glowing, began to open like a flower of metal and light. Beams of energy pierced the clouds, scanning the planet. Wherever the light touched, it left nothing behind. Not ruin, not fire, erasure. The broodmother roared. "They mean to unmake us all." "Not if I can help it," Voss said. He turned toward the wreckage of the human base. "There's an uplink tower in the north quadrant. If I can patch through, maybe I can talk to it." "You cannot reason with the architects," the broodmother growled. "They speak only in verdicts." Voss grinned faintly. "Then I'll appeal the sentence." He ran, through smoke, through shattered metal, through rain that hissed where it hit the burning ground. The cub clung to him weakly, eyes half closed, its light fading. The uplink tower was half destroyed, its spire bent like a broken spear. Voss slammed his palm onto the console. The interface flickered, sparking. "Come on, old girl," he muttered. "Just one more miracle." A Loham answered. The connection opened. A voice filled his helmet, deep monotone, echoing like 1,000 minds speaking as one. "Identify." "Captain Eric Voss, Terran Expeditionary Force," he said. "You're destroying everything alive down here." "Correction. We are restoring balance. The experiment has degraded." "Experiment," he echoed. "Life." The words hit him like a blow. "You built us to test something? To see if creation could evolve beyond control. And did we?" Voss demanded. "You created war. You created US." The connection crackled. The air around him began to shimmer. matter destabilizing. He could feel his molecules vibrating. The cub whimpered. Its golden eyes opened fully, and a burst of light rippled through the tower. The signal flickered, then stabilized. The architects hesitated. What is that? Voss looked down at the cub. A reminder that your math isn't perfect. Anomaly detected. Voss grinned through the pain. That's what humans do best. The brood mother's roar echoed from the distance. She was charging toward the tower, her massive form glowing again. Her wounds were bleeding light. But she didn't stop. Voss slammed his hand into the terminal again, overriding the failsafe. You said you judge creation by balance, right? Then balance this. He rerouted the cub's BioLite signature through the uplink, broadcasting its hybrid DNA pattern into orbit. The scanner beams above shifted, scanning the new signal. Inconsistency. Human code found within non-human form. Error. The light in the sky began to flicker. The erasure beams wavered, uncertain. Voss shouted, You can't unmake what's already become one. You built us both, and we chose to connect. The tower overloaded. Blue light flooded the camp. The ground split open beneath him, and everything was drowned in sound and energy. When the blast cleared, the sky was still. The beam stopped. The colossal structure in orbit flickered, and for a moment it seemed to hesitate. Then it began to retreat, folding back into darkness. Voss collapsed to his knees. The uplink was gone, melted to slag. The cub lay still in his arms, its light dim but steady. The broodmother arrived, smoke curling from her body. You stopped them. Voss shook his head slowly. No, I confused them. They'll be back once they figure out what we are. She studied him in silence. Then she lowered her massive head until her eyes met his. Perhaps that is your gift. Confusion. Defiance. Life that refuses to obey. He gave a tired smile. Yeah, humanity in a nutshell. The rain began to fall again, gentle now, washing the ash from the ground. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the cub opened its eyes, brighter than ever, and whispered into both their minds. They are not gone. They are listening. Voss looked up at the sky, where the clouds glowed faintly gold. Then let's give them something worth hearing. As the architects listened from the dark, Voss must decide whether to unite with Green or ignite humanity's final rebellion among the stars. The rain stopped. The sky above Karuin, 9 was unnaturally still, too clean, too quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The fires had gone out, the machines had fallen silent, and even the jungle had stopped whispering. Captain Eric Voss stood among the ruins of the human camp, smoke curling from his armor. The cub rested in his arms, glowing softly, its warmth faint but alive. Behind him, the massive shadow of the broodmother loomed, her scales reflecting the starlight like shards of obsidian glass. Above them, the stars pulsed once, a slow, deliberate rhythm, like something vast was thinking, watching, waiting. Voss's calm crackled faintly. Hale's voice, weak but alive. Sir, Command wants to pull us out. They say orbital scans show movement up there. Structures forming. Voss looked up. In the upper atmosphere, invisible a few hours ago, a ring of light was taking shape, geometric, perfect, enormous. The architects were building something. He whispered, They're not retreating. They're adapting. The broodmother turned her gaze skyward, her voice a deep hum that trembled through the soil. The first makers are curious again. You changed the equation. Voss shook his head slowly. I bought us time, not peace. The cub stirred, golden eyes reflecting the firelight. Through the mental link, Voss heard its voice again. Clearer now, stronger. They want to speak. To both. Voss blinked. Both. The cub looked between him and the broodmother. You are two halves. They listened to the union. The broodmother leaned closer, suspicion rippling through her expression. Why should we answer? They created and abandoned us. They see us as variables, not lives. Voss looked up at the cold stars. Maybe, but if we don't answer, they'll make their own conclusion. And history says that never ends well for us. He set the cub gently on the ground. Its glow expanded into a soft golden sphere, pulsing with energy. A beam of light shot upward, piercing the clouds. The air vibrated. Then, without warning, the world fell away. Voss blinked, and found himself standing in a space without distance or color. Endless, weightless, silent. The cub floated nearby, and beside him towered a shimmering outline of the broodmother, vast and ghost-like. From all directions, a voice spoke, calm, mechanical, yet almost sorrowful. We observe two species, divergent paths, shared origin. Voss steadied himself. Yeah, you made us. You made them. And now you're back to judge us. That's about right, isn't it? Judgment is irrelevant. Only outcome matters. Then what outcome are you looking for? Synthesis or erasure? Voss's fists clenched. You want us to merge? You're talking about rewriting entire species. Balance demands union. Divergence breeds war. The broodmother's projection growled, her eyes blazing. We will not be absorbed into another design. Then you will end. The cub floated between them, light intensifying. Stop. The voice of the architects faltered. Unexpected signal. Hybrid pattern detected. The cub's tone deepened, layered with something older, something human. You built us to test evolution, to see if life could think beyond its makers. Look at us. We already did. The space trembled. Voss felt heat building behind his eyes, as if the cub's thoughts were pouring through him. He stepped forward. You wanted proof that creation could surpass design? Then here it is. We learned to question, to love, to choose. The broodmother's voice rumbled like distant thunder. And we learned to protect, even those not of our blood. That is your missing code, empathy. For a long moment, the architect said nothing. Then, variables, complete, purpose, achieved. The void began to dissolve into light. Voss frowned. Wait, what does that mean? The experiment ends. The makers will sleep again. The light swallowed everything. He gasped, and the world came rushing back. The jungle, the camp, the storm, all real again. But the ring in the sky was gone. The clouds were breaking, revealing clear stars. The broodmother stood beside him, silent. The cub's glow had faded. It looked ordinary now, just a living, breathing creature. Voss knelt beside it. You okay, kid? The cub blinked up at him and smiled, a small, human smile. We are. The broodmother lowered her massive head. They left us. Voss looked up at the calm night sky. No, he said softly. They left us free. He stood, the weight of everything finally settling in. Humanity and Teatrine. Two species bound by the same origin, the same flaw, the same stubborn spark. He opened his calm hail. Tell Command we're not leaving this planet. We're rebuilding. Together. Static answered. Then Hale's shaky voice. Sir, rebuilding with them? Voss smiled faintly. Yeah. Turns out the future doesn't belong to one of us. It belongs to both. The broodmother watched him for a long time, then bowed her massive head, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. And as dawn broke over Karuan 9, light spilled across the wreckage, revealing humans and Teatrine standing side by side, rebuilding walls that had once divided them. Voss looked at the cub, who now played in the dirt near his boots, and whispered the words he hadn't dared say in years. Maybe this is what being human was always supposed to mean. Above, the stars pulse once more, not in threat, but in rhythm, like applause from the heavens. The architects made life to follow orders, but humanity taught it how to choose.